that one might be a bit slow. And I think we have everyone here, so we can begin the meeting. Could I acknowledge Reverend Bruce Cornish, who's with us here today for the Uniting Church. But before I begin the meeting formally, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of Townsville, the Walgurukaba of Gurrumbil Bara and Yombanen and Bindal people, and pay our respects to their cultures, their ancestors and their elders, past and present, and all future generations. Could I now ask the good Reverend Bruce Cornish of the Uniting Church if he would lead us off in prayer?
The good Reverend. Who's the bad Reverend? Don't go there. Councillors, I've given you a picture. I've also given you a chocolate, by the way. You can negotiate with your neighbour if you don't like the one I've given you, because they're different. They've already swapped. No negotiation, it's already gone. All right. Well, I've given you a picture, and I wanted to give you that picture. So if you've seen the picture before, you'll understand that in that picture there are two women. So if you can see the younger woman, you're right. If you can see the older woman, you're right. If you can see both women, maybe you're doubly right. I don't know. But, you know, why I've given you that is that sometimes in our lives, and certainly in your roles, there are a number of perspectives on various things that you're looking at. And there's not always one right perspective. Sometimes there are a number of those. And so I've just given you that little picture. And if you can't see the two women, then stick it up on the mirror and look at it every night until you see them, because it's very interesting. Or get someone to explain it to you. But that's good. But it's important in public life, and for all of us actually, to be aware that there are a number of issues, perspectives, and it's not always easy to see them, particularly if those perspectives are something totally foreign to what we've grown and understood. And that's not easy, and sometimes we need God's help to help us see that different perspective. I think there's an old Indian saying, walk another mile in another person's moccasins, isn't it? It's the same sort of thing to get that. So my prayer for you guys is that you will be able to do that in the business of your roles. So allow me to pray for you. Father God, I just thank you for the privilege of being here and sharing with the leaders in our community who are doing so much to make such a difference in this community of Townsville. I pray your blessing upon this meeting, upon each decision that is made, each presentation that is shared. And may your encouragement be with each of us as we move forward from here together, seeing whatever perspectives we need to see, different perspectives, and working with each other to make this place a better place to live for all generations. And I pray your blessing now on this gathering in the name of Jesus our Lord. Amen. Amen. And God's calling.
Mine, he is actually. Thank you very much, and my apologies. There is a standing fine in this chamber, and I will be paying it at our Christmas party. Thank you. All right. You're right? That's right. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for that, Bruce. That was most enlightening, because we do have a number of decisions today that will have a very different perspective, I'm sure, for many of the councillors. All right. We have an apology. Councillor Cook has applied for sick leave for today. Do we have anyone also looking for leave of absence? There is. Yes, Council?
From the 7th to the 13th of September, related to public records.
Any others? Yes, Councillor Jacob.
Yes, mine will be sick leave too, from the 12th of September for 2 weeks.
So you will be back approximately in the 26th?
In time for the council meetings.
All right. If there are no others, I would have someone move that we accept Councillor Cook's apology for today's meeting and the leave of absence for Councillor Walker and Councillor Jacob. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Could I have someone move the confirmation of the minutes from the 23rd of July, please? Thank you, Councillor Greenie. Seconded, Councillor Coombe. Are there any proposed amendments to the minutes? If not, then I'll put those minutes, that we accept those minutes as a true and accurate record. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. I will now ask the Chief Legal Officer, please, if he could read out the statement, disclosure of interest statement before we go through disclosure of interests.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Graham to Townsville. There have been recent changes to the local government legislation as part of Operation Valcara that could affect an individual councillor's involvement in today's discussion. These changes are live and introduce obligations for councillors regarding how they manage personal interests in any council matters that may arise, including before a matter is considered at a formal council meeting. Councillors must consider if they have a personal interest, that is, a material personal interest, a real or perceived conflict of interest, in any matter being considered at today's session. If a councillor has a material personal interest or real or perceived conflict of interest in a matter today, it should be declared as required under the Local Government Act. If a councillor at a meeting reasonably believes or reasonably suspects that another councillor has a material personal interest or real or perceived conflict of interest in a matter that is to be discussed at the meeting and has not informed the chair of the meeting about the interest, the councillor must advise the chairperson of the meeting as soon as practicable about their belief or suspicion and the facts and circumstances that form the basis of that belief or suspicion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we had a disclosure of interest at the Standing Committee, and I will ask if that disclosure of interest can be transferred to a disclosure of interest of council and include myself as Councillor Hill, Councillor Doyle, Councillor Jacob, if you wish, Councillor Greenie and Councillor Coombe. I'm sorry, Councillor Greenie's already included in that, so Councillor Coombe. Right. And Councillor Raybine, if they could be included. I think that's everyone. Councillor Cook isn't here. He's not here at the meeting, so he's not taking part in the discussion. All right. There is one other disclosure of interest. Is that Councillor Doyle?
Madam Mayor, just in respect to item number 2, the Land Use and Urban Design Minutes of the Heritage Advisory Committee of the Planning and Development Committee, agenda for August, which relates to the minutes of the Heritage Advisory Committee, Local Repair and Maintenance Procedure for Local Heritage Listed Places. That's a mouthful. I declare a personal interest because my husband and I own a state heritage listed building in Flinders Street and we stand to lose or gain from any proposed action, so I will be leaving the meeting while this item is discussed and voted on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Doyle. I'll ask one more time, are there any other disclosures of interests? If not, we'll move to correspondence. Any correspondence, CEO?
No correspondence, Madam Mayor.
Are there any petitions? No petitions. There are no deputations. There are no notices of motions. We'll go through now. We have 4 presentations, and if I could ask Councillor Walker, your presentation on Taipei Smart City.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak in relation to the Taipei Smart City Summit Expo, which was on the 23rd to 29th of March 2019. For those that are in the room that aren't familiar, I attended in the company of Matt Steen on those dates, and I want to thank the Council for allowing me to participate in this expo. For those that aren't familiar, this expo, in relation to the Mayor or the Deputy Mayor, is funded by that expo, that country, the Mayor of that city sponsors the mayor will let me in this council. So that's shown in my declaration as I represent the council. So no cost to council in relation to my attendance. Which is good, because this is the second one I've attended, Madam Mayor and fellow councillors. In that photo there, that's the LGAQ delegation. Last year there was only a handful of us that went on the same invite. This time, 30% more attendees from around the world due to this expo and the content that's in it. It's well renowned and highly regarded and respected. Two main hosts there. The gentleman in the light brown jacket in the middle is Pat Heppenstein, who's from the Trade Invest Queensland. He hosted us in partnership with the gentleman on his left, my right, Patrick Cohen, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Australian Office Commissioner in Taipei, which is very high level and allowed our council, Townsville City, to be recognised as some of the best cities in the world in relation to what we're doing, and I'll touch on that shortly. Here, just a background due, the Smart City Summit and Expo is an annual exhibition focused on smart city developments, robotics, artificial intelligence, even waste to energy. Business leaders, policy makers, industry experts and stakeholders from around the world meet here each year since its inception. And like I said, 30% increase in attendance from the previous year, which is a big jump in relation to the number of mayors, deputy mayors and other industry leaders in artificial intelligence. I'll just give you some figures, and I want to get through this really quickly. This is some of the stats in relation to this expo this year, with participation of 128 overseas cities from 45 different countries, so it's pretty high level, and 66 professional forums held. Now, to obtain the free status for this council to attend, I have to check into every event, so we actually are registered to make sure that we attend everything officially and making sure I get everything on behalf of this council and the city to return back here to get some of the relationships happening, and I'll talk about that shortly when we started some conversations. So just to help you out, there's 337 exhibitors, 1,250 booths, so just to give you an idea how large the site is. And this expo's facility is held in New Taipei, which is very similar there in relation to design and architecture. It's an emerging space that looks similar to Singapore. This is our stand, and we worked pretty hard on it. We did really well on our exhibition space in the Australian Pavilion, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. That's Matt and myself. We had over 47 official registered interest from everything, and I'll talk about that shortly. From education, artificial intelligence, and even waste to energy. And one of the people that engaged with us was in relation to natural disasters, because Taipei, they suffered in a big way from earthquakes and flooding through the main river of Taipei. So just to give you some insight on this one here, the top picture is where I present on behalf of Townsville City as a guest speaker in relation to natural disasters and speaking with other countries from around the world, their experiences. On that day when I spoke, it was only 6 weeks after the event, and they were impressed by going through the event and the amendment of the event by the mayor and the clean-up, our response and recovery, get it to a clean stage of all the waste we had in the streets and the amount of water that had been through the city. They could relate to it, but they couldn't relate to the speed in which we cleaned up, because it takes them months and months to get over the process of cleaning up, because their waste goes to energy and a lot of it will be wet, so there's a whole heap of issues when they deal with waste. So we're very fortunate in that space. Just to give some insight to these people that are standing before us in the bottom picture, besides the Trade Commissioner and Trade Invest Queensland, we have MyTac, the gentleman second on the left, Sam, that's from MyTac, is one of the biggest developers of IT and solar-powered bus stations to airport gateways to robotics and artificial intelligence. And these are big players, and they've actually shown some interest in investing in research and development here in Queensland, and they've actually made a beeline for us here in Townsville in the recent months. So it's quite exciting. The other people in the middle, the blonde lady, she's from LGAQ, that's the signing of an MOU with the Queensland Local Government Association of Queensland, driving future interest in trade and investment in the state of Queensland. The other stuff that came out of this was veterinary science, with a possible relationship between universities, with veterinary science and high volume fruit production. They have developed hybrid fruit that will high in flavour, high in density, and bigger yields per square metre. So in relation to their landscape, they need to get high productivity to feed the masses. Now, to give you some insight into how big that is, Taiwan has a population of Australia on a land mass half the size of Tasmania. So they've got a land problem. But they want to invest with us in agriculture where we can grow the food and they will buy back. They don't want to own the farm, they just want to share the technology, which is exciting. This slide here on the bottom left is similar to a bus that's currently on trial in Ipswich, which is an autonomous vehicle. This one is built in Taiwan. That's a 12-seater as well. The one in Ipswich is on trial, which is the EZ10, which does 40 kilometres an hour. This one's actually even a little bit larger on body mass, but this one here, it works on face recognition technology. So when you purchase your ticket, it won't let you on that bus unless it recognises you're the purchaser of a ticket before you enter that bus. So that's how quick the intelligence is on that vehicle. So it doesn't open up, which is good for public safety. If you haven't purchased a ticket and they don't recognise you. Because if they don't recognise you, they don't know who you are, so you're not getting on. So the other one I want to share with you is the ATM. Some of you may have heard me talk about biometrics. They actually do biometrics on ATM. So no more PIN number, you put your thumbprint and off you go. But you don't just put any old thumbprint, it has to feel the temperature and your pulse. So if you think about cutting someone's thumb off to get to the ATM, get their money, it won't work. So you must have a pulse. So the other one, Madam Mayor, is the ASA retrofitting of smart water meters. So those water meters that they attach to are the water meters we use today. All that is a plastic module that screws to the top. It has a little camera in it and it reads the digits in real time and uses the radio network we currently have in the city for free of charge. So it's actually a very smart technology and is currently based in Sydney and being trialled in Australia. My question to them was in relation to the plastics they use, are they UV stabilised? Because we have a problem with ultraviolet light. Greg Bruce tells us about that all the time in relation to how harsh it is. The last photo is an automated bus station which is solar powered and provides information not only of the next destination or other destinations you wish to get to, but promotes the city in tourism, accommodation, and it also has camera and telephone for public safety. So it's always monitoring who's standing in that space. That's the fruit. The lychee nuts, the lychees are currently being trialled in Sunshine Coast. They did look up here to run those trials. What's special about them is a very, very small seed and more flesh. So you're getting more money, more food for your money in relation to the lychees. And the passion fruit and all those are all high flavoured. And they are looking to run pineapple trials somewhere in the world on the hybrid, high flavoured pineapple. So we did let them know that we're the perfect location for pineapples. That's Taipei 101. On the left, it was the tallest building at the time when it was built, and it's got the highest energy rating in the world. It still holds some records. In 2002, under construction, it was hit with an earthquake. 2 cranes toppled, killing 5 people, which is quite sad and tragic. The upside was the building didn't sustain any damage during that earthquake. So they went on and finished the building, and it has a big counterweight, a very large counterweight on top of the building to counteract the earthquake. The gentleman with me is the manager of the facility. That's a 101 floor building with 5 floors underground, which is the car park, and over 380 pylons at 80 metres in length. The artwork, I just want to put that photo up because I actually gave out corporate gifts of local Indigenous art to those in the city of Taipei. Just a quick, I just got to go back there because you'll see, which is important because the mayor's just signed up and I think Matt's working in this space and he's definitely working in this space on startups. And this is Spark Lab in Taipei, Taiwan, Tech Arena, which is their big indoor stadium. They've got a tech lab there. And this robot that I'm with in the middle actually talks and blinks its eyes, puts his hand up, will shake hands, will hold your hand too, one of that. Matt was actually holding hands with that robot during the visit. And that lab there, Madam Mayor and councillors, is they've offered us a soft landing. So our people here that study or do any startups can go there as a soft landing pad, and we've offered the same to them if they come here and want to do some research and development. The last one, I think, is this is the latest in medicine and University Hospital in Taiwan. These beds are inflatable, so if they need to lift someone up and put any devices under the body, they can inflate and slide them through without interrupting the person's sleep, and they can move bodies around really easily without any back injuries. And all the other devices are the latest technology in medicine. This is a research and development space where they trial a lot of this equipment. And they're open to having partnerships here in Australia with the latest in medicine. The gentleman on the top right was running one of the top hospitals, and he worked in Australia for 6 months in Sydney for memory, one of the top hospitals. But this is my last one, just for those gamers, and I think we're talking about some gaming stuff here in the city. This console here is a full width bedroom console that actually moves. The floor moves when you're in a fighter jet. It leans forward as a fighter jet. You give your ride as a train or a tank. And that whole wall in front of it is some 8 feet away from the console. So it actually takes the whole room. But you can actually use this in the public arena, like a PlayStation, and have competitions in our CBD. This is full high-tech surround sound. So they're happy to share that technology and work in that space and taking things to the and using artificial intelligence. But this console is actually used in modules to train for fighter jets, train drivers, tank drivers in industry. This is a way to transition into that space and to make it fun. That same console is used in industry as well. Just want to share this snapshot really quickly with the team. Just to let you know, we were working. We did get a lot of interest, and we've got over 43 solid contacts, and I've shared some with the Mayor. And SoftBank is one of the biggest in the world that is interested to talk to us and any future investments they could participate in moving forward in green energy, in smart technology, artificial intelligence and robotics. But I'll leave it there because I'll talk all day, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor. I might ask, yes, Mr. Steen?
I just want to point out, I think, further to what Deputy Mayor said, we promoted 6 Townsville businesses on the stand at the conference that we'd arranged to some of the international parties there. There are a bunch of learnings in us getting to engage with other Australian councils in terms of smart cities and some of the learnings that they've had. So I think it was interestingly a great, very efficient way for us to have a lot of those meetings and get a lot of lessons and make contacts there. And we had a Townsville business, Fierce Ventures, actually travel with us to take a look at some of the smart city technologies to see how we might be able to adapt those moving forward. And I think the other part around Smart Precinct, potentially looking to have a partnership agreement with Taiwan Tech Arena so that we could play the role of a landing pad for Taiwanese businesses that were looking to enter the Australian market here, and then vice versa for entrepreneurs from Townsville that were part of the Smart Precinct program to be able to touch down in Taiwan in coordination with Australia.
I just would like to point out to councillors that Councillor Walker also went as the North Queensland Region of Council rep. The invitation came through the Local Government Association in partnership with Trade Invest Queensland. So many local councils need to be able to access expos like this, but quite often can't afford to do it by themselves. So the relationship and using the ROCs to manage that is quite significant. The concern I've had is the number of Southeast Queensland councils who have greater financial capability, who are attending these forums now, are making it harder for regional councils and rural councils to be able to get their message across. The big one for us though, and I think in the short term, is the Big Rocks Weir, which allows 5,000 hectares of land to go under irrigation. It would be and I know the Mayor of Charters Towers is keen to form some sort of partnership with a person who wishes to actually use that land for food production, not just for cattle grazing. So I think a country like Taiwan that's looking for food security could go no further south than staying here in North Queensland, where I think we'd be able to work with them.
And can I just add, Madam Mayor, what I failed to share being here today is the first trip, and I'll help with that, and I'll work closely with the Mayor of Charles Town, happily and successfully jagged or got an order for marble for the first time out of Charters Towers, now going to Taipei. So the upside to that is we win as well as a city, as a region, because it goes through our port. So there's plenty of marble in Taipei, Taiwan. There's plenty of marble in Taiwan, but not the quality we have. And we have 8 very new colours in marble out in that region, which is now being exported to Taiwan, which is a good story, and it costs us nothing. And that just develops and establishes very strong relationships, and the word gets out in Taipei and Taiwan that we are a great city to do business. So I just want to share that.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, can we now move on to the next presentation, which is the Recovery Subgroup Human and Social.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the last 6 months, I've had the absolute honour of being the coordinator of the Human and Social Recovery Subgroup and working under the leadership of Councillor Dora. In the human and social space, we facilitate Townsville's recovery by working with, through and for the community. Council has an important role in terms of the coordination of the human and social recovery, but it's the partners that we work with that are actually doing the work on the ground. There's quite a diverse and large range of partners across all levels of government, the non-government sector and grassroots community organisations, all working together for Townsville's recovery. I'd really like to stress to you that in the human and social space, we really believe that disasters are about people, and that responding to disasters, pre, during and post an impact, is about managing and supporting the people. That's always our focus. Our goal has always been about both Townsville's recovery and its long-term resilience, about building a better and stronger city. We're committed to employing strategies that are about community-led, about being totally inclusive, and about working collaboratively with all of our partners. We've had 3 main pillars to the activities that we've undertaken: basic needs, personal wellbeing, and community wellbeing. We've also had a very strong commitment to employing data and information as evidence to determine our activities. In fact, I've had several strong commendations in the last few months from other practitioners, both nationally and statewide, comments on the quality and the importance of the data that we've collected, unlike human social recovery activities anywhere else. There are a lot of highlights over the last 6 months. There are just a couple I want to showcase for you. We've been meeting since the 4th of February as a human and social group, and our next meeting will be number 42. And every meeting is very well attended and has active participants. One of the things that we're particularly proud of was an initiative we carried out in the early days, which we call the Social Suite, which through the time actually saw volunteers from YWAM, combined churches and others knocking on 17,000 doors in the impacted areas. Just to signal to the people of Townsville that we're here, we care, we're for you, and providing a range of information that we could refer on for any people who had needs. This is also being recognised nationally as a first of its kind and a significant undertaking in recovery. We've operated largely also with a series of task groups that are focused on what we've seen as the major group communities of interest to work with. We've had the pleasure of working with many philanthropic organisations who've donated both their time and their money, and we've reached out and made contact with all parts of our community, individuals, neighbourhoods and groups. We've also had some fun. We've done some really enjoyable activities with the community, neighbour days, parties in the pits, singing in choirs for Hang On, Help Is On Its Way. We've collaborated with other parts of council like the libraries, with other organisations like Queensland Disability Network, and we've had the opportunity to showcase the great work that we'll be doing at conferences. Just a slight insight into the actual impact that we've had. In the human and social space, and these figures, I must preface, come actually from our partner agencies, and so the key partners that we're working with are not the limit to what is happening. This is just the information that's fed into us. Our partner GiveIt has received nearly $9.5 million in gift card and cash donations from around Australia and further, some of it being specifically for Townsville, some of it being for Queensland folks. At the present moment, about $8.5 million of that has been distributed, and a lot of it in the Townsville area. We're very lucky that there is still some donations coming in, so that those totals do tend to move. In terms of basic needs, physical support and psychosocial support, they are what we call instances. So every time one of our partners provided somebody with a food voucher or a bed or a roof over their head, that was basic needs. So our partners delivered over 27,000 instances of basic needs support. Physical support was about cleaning up, moving house, all of those sorts of things. And of course, psychosocial support is all sorts of touch points with the community, just to check in on how they're going. You can see our partners at the Department of Communities have received totally 66,752 applications for funding support and have paid out over $30 million in support to the Townsville community. This slide gives us a moment to reflect on what is we call the recovery journey. Straight after an event, there's usually a great feeling of being heroic. We've been helping our family and our friends. We then take a little dip, then we get back up, and we've got that survivors. We've done it, we've made it. But it doesn't take long, and the recovery journey typically takes a bit of a slide down. I show you this because this is normal. This is what happens in all recoveries after all disasters. You can also overlay this with the stages of the grief process, and we see that in our community as well. And whilst I'm sure that many of us would like to make sure that there was no pain and to take it all away, we can't. It's part of a recovery process that we have to go on this sort of journey. What we can do is to build community resilience. And a resilient community has a lot shallower trough. So that's our goal, is that the next time Townsville is impacted by a disaster, it's not that we won't go on that journey. We will. But the dip will just not be as deep. That's our goal. Finally, I just want to highlight some of the really exciting things that we're working on now and where we're going. We're just about to appoint 2 council's team, 2 community development officers funded through the CAT-C funding, and they'll be working on resilience building and collaborating with recovery workers across other agencies. And we have 2 really big projects that are in various different stages of rollout. The first one, and I'm really excited about this, and I am so pleased to still have Reverend Cornish in the room as I talk about this, because he's one of our leads, one of the people helping this project to happen. We've been concerned for a long time. The impact on some of our residents, particularly in the need to rebuild their homes, far exceeds the resources that they've got to do it. So we're looking at developing a community rebuild project. Still in its planning phase, but it is going to happen, isn't it, Reverend? It is going to happen. We are going to do this. So its goal is to assist those impacted residents who don't have access to the resources that they need to make their homes safe and habitable. It's about recovery, but it's also about resilience. It's about putting them back into safe homes, so that they can be stronger and our community can be more connected and safer. It is community-led. This initiative is being driven by a very small group of community partners, beginning with the combined churches and the service groups and a few others around. We're working this up and we'll be reaching out as a community to other partners, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. It's based on a Bundaberg model, on the Bundaberg model. So Reverend Cornish and I didn't have a cup of tea and come up with this great idea. We actually found where somebody's done something similar before, but we're taking it and we're adapting it to the Townsville situation. It features a volunteer workforce with the right supervision and the right skills, obviously, going in and helping to rebuild using donated materials. We're obviously going to be looking for lots of other stakeholders to help us with this as we progress. Everybody from industry organisations through to individual businesses, community groups, high-profile champions who can advocate for what it is that we're doing. And our last initiative that I want to flag with you is Social Suite Phase 3. This time we're not knocking on doors, this time we're going to where the people are. And under the branding of Team Townsville, we're setting up our nice new little marquee at public events, finding stimuli that will get the community to come and talk to us. That's providing an opportunity for them to see that we're still here, we still care, we know there are needs out there. And for some people, it's a matter of just saying, yeah, oh, they're still there. For some, they come up and they have a chat to us, and just the act of talking through is beneficial. For others, they come up to us, their needs are much greater, so we act as a referral service and we signpost them on. We envisage that these sorts of activities that I've just showcased with you will probably be ongoing for 12 months, maybe up to 2 years. So human and social recovery will be active for a long time to come yet. So please watch this space for the great work being done by the groups who form our partnership in the human and social recovery space. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from councillors? I think the work, we know that recovery will take a long time. Councillor Doyle, I thank you for your leadership as part of this group and to all the staff that are working on this. As there is a long way to go, and I'm sure all of us know people who are still struggling, and we've still got a big job ahead of us in terms of dealing with the personal anguish that many people are going through. But
I wanted to say that too, because I wanted to acknowledge the good work of Bruce Cornish, who does play a dual role with this council, that he comes and prays for us quite often as council, but he was there from day one on the 4th of February when we stood up our group, and he's been standing there with us ever since. So he's a very, very active and valued member.
We can't do this alone.
No,
It has to
that's,
be a
you know, and Bruce represents the combined churches, so he is there as the representative for all churches within Townsville and takes that message back. So it's just one element of the community he works with us in this space. So yeah.
thank you. And thank you all of you. Thank you for the presentation. I think it's very timely, Margaret.
Thank you.
All right, we have... Thank you, Bruce. We'll now go to the presentation on OpenGov. Margaret, you have been a busy bee.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. Townsville dashboards was launched 6 months ago. Same time.
It's the same time as the floods are,
We
isn't
had a
it?
very busy February, we certainly did. Because of its outward-facing community focus for Townsville dashboards, it actually sits within my team of community engagement. That's why I get to talk to you again about this wonderful project. But I'd also like to pay credit to the person who actually is behind Townsville dashboards, which is Ken Melcher. Okay, so Townsville dashboards has continued continued to evolve to feature new content and functionality, making it a richer community experience. For those of you who are not familiar with Townsville Dashboards, it provides a digital platform for the community to access data and information about your council, your services, and your city, and it provides access to council's open data portal. Of late, we've changed a few things around. We've repositioned different elements to try and get greater attraction. The quick stats is now at the top of the homepage, and we've added in new content that relates to both council initiatives and to wider services. You'll see on there we're starting to, we've got the information about budget, right down to median house sales prices and visualisations and virtual tours. So our goal is to always ensure that Townsville Dashboard's content remains current and relevant to our community. A short showcase, this gives you an example of some of the sorts of information and data that can be downloaded through the Your Council page. Quite a wide range of services are showcased on here. We use the OpenGov platform to be able to create visualisations, like you can see in the top right-hand corner, for the sorts of data that we're showcasing. How do we know how well we're doing? Well, I think we're doing particularly well, as these analytics will show. Our community take-up and usage has been very positive. As this infographic shows you, our page views in the last month was just over 11,000, and we are actually averaging 11,000 page views per month. If you look at the graph, vertical bar graph there, what that's telling you is the dotted line is the average for Townsville Dashboards page views per month, and the other columns show you the councils we're benchmarking against. So we're slightly less than Brisbane City and significantly more than both Logan and Milton. Our data downloads are also going quite well, averaging over 500 per month. This analytics shows you what's happened since our February launch. Nearly 60,000 page views. We've now got 33 data sets available. And if you're looking at the data that's being downloaded, you can see that our average of nearly 600 per month is actually significantly greater than the other four councils that we're benchmarking against. What are people downloading? Well, they want to know about our libraries, they want to know about dam levels, water production, animal complaints and development applications. How do we know that they're using it? It's a great compliment when you actually see your data turn up on somebody else's platform or newspaper. You can see here that the Townsville Bulletin is making good use of the data that we're presenting regarding our animal management. You can see that a certain blogger is finding Townsville's open data portal and talking about it in, I must say, glowing terms. And we also find that the Research Australia is showcasing our data sets as well. I think that's a great sign that we're actually making an impact. Just to remind you why we have Townsville Dashboards, the drivers for it were about providing a community dashboard so that the public can access information. It was also about delivering on Council's desire for openness and transparency. And it was about meeting obligations that we had to the Office of the Information Commissioner. And I might say that we had a meeting with them just in the last week, and they provided some extremely favourable feedback to the impact that Townsville Dashboards is having and how it is showcasing that transparency. We're also very busy at the moment working on a governance framework for our open data and making sure that we're working with our data champions and having appropriate processes in place for deciding and managing the data that we distribute. And where are we going? Over the next 12 months, we're going to be doing quite a significant body of work on raising our community awareness and engagement. And we also use that to inform our ongoing development. So as we engage with people, they say, hey, have you ever thought about having this? So we then go away, and that helps us to develop the site as well as the usage. We've got lots of new content coming online, the inclusive and livable cities material, community safety stuff, the whole set of work around waste levies, etc. And we're going to get some new functionality. We're really looking forward to being able to have some automation, which will make it less labour intensive, to have greater integration with other council systems, and a new reporting engine that we hope to see coming out of OpenGov, which is currently in beta testing mode. So 6 months down the road, I think we've taken some giant steps, but there's plenty more to come. So ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't gone to Townsville Dashboards, make sure you check in it, show your teams, your friends and everybody you know this tool is there for the community of Townsville.
Excellent, Margaret, thank you. And CEO, you wish to, because this was a project that you began.
Yeah, it's not just about this project, Madam Mayor and Councillors. I just wanted to make the point that you've just seen Margaret present in relation to two extraordinarily important pieces of work for this council. Margaret is one of many in this organisation that, since the flood, have been performing a duality of functions. No additional staff. However, without exception, Margaret is emblematic of the officers of this council who took on the role of not only meeting their obligations from a business as usual point of view, but meeting the extraordinary obligations and commitment that you've seen to projects such as building resilience through the recovery. I acknowledge the support of councillors through the process, but I just wanted to take the opportunity, Madam Mayor. It is easy sometimes to be critical of an organisation. However, the reality of the situation is that Margaret is a living example, and Margaret, I'm not just signalling you out. I know that when I look at the back, there's a large number of the group at the back that have been heavily involved in performing functions that are seeing them work extraordinary hours to ensure that not only is our community being given the best opportunity to recover from a disastrous event, but that our business as usual continues to ensure the resilience of the community is met by all.
Thank you, CEO. And thank you, CEO, and thank you to all the staff. We know it's been difficult, and as the CEO pointed out, there are many of you doing two jobs at the moment, one around recovery and business as usual. And I'm hopeful that once the money starts coming from through QRA, based on the guidelines, that support is on its way. And Ellie said help. We have one final presentation today, and that's the Livability Study 2019 and the findings. Councillors, this is, I think, an important plank in how we proceed into the future for this community. So, if we can, thank you.
So, I presented to most of you about when we went out to the engagement, so now I just thought we'd come back and show our key findings for today. So just a quick reminder, what was the livability study? So we went out to the community and did two surveys. The first survey was the care factor survey to really understand what people care and value in their community, and the second part was our PX assessment. So we rated 5 neighbourhoods across council on those attributes. How we conducted the survey, so it was online from the 29th of April to the 26th of March. We had over 40 engagement stalls across the LGA, and we really tried to engage with people that don't normally engage with council as well. So we've got over 2,600 responses. That's over 1,900 for our care factor survey. So that's the most that Police has ever got nationally, which I think is a big achievement for council. So I have to say a big thank you to the community engagement planning and the Future Cities team for really for resourcing those stalls. And I'll just do a quick video before we pop the phone. feasibility study is to understand what our community cares about and values in their neighbourhoods. We asked two different questions. One was to really understand what they value in their ideal neighbourhood and what's really important to them, and the second one was about rating some neighbourhoods around Townsville.
The Care Factor survey revealed that the community's top 3 values are elements of the natural environment, the general conditions of public open spaces, and a sense of neighbourhood. Sense of neighbourhood and personal safety, access to paths and public transport, condition and quality of public spaces are areas for improvement. The Care Factor survey also revealed that the strengths to be celebrated and promoted as a city are our local businesses, access to neighbourhood and amenities, and elements of the natural environment. Across the 5 neighbourhoods, ease of driving and parking was the highest performing attribute, but the data shows that it wasn't as highly valued in the Care Factor survey. Unique buildings, local history, and things to do in the evening were the lowest rated attributes out of 5 neighbourhoods. I don't think I was shocked by some of the results of the livability study. One of the things that maybe did surprise me was that we felt we were very well covered in terms of vehicular infrastructures. The community indicated that it was fairly happy with that. What it wanted though was more of active and healthy transport. The importance of the community taking part in this survey to me is that it allows the community to articulate and tell us what's important and what they value. But not only that, the data is evidence-based, which has a huge amount of validity moving forward from a planning perspective.
We'd love to repeat this, the first part of the Care Factor, every 4 years so we can see how our communities change, and also we'll do our place experience every 1 or 2 years as well, in different places and then also in the same places to see if our investments actually paid off and people are enjoying the space more. For more information about the project, visit Council's website. So these are the top 10 care attributes for the whole LGA, so we can break it down into different suburbs. But from the whole LGA, what the key elements that we took home were that we like to be, that the community likes to be close to nature and that we likes to be well looked after, that we are safe, that we're connected by active and public transport, and that we offer great local amenities and businesses. There was really, in the open-ended questions, we saw a huge response in regards to our active transport, which was really interesting as well. So these are the assessments over the 5 neighbourhoods. So we rated Northport, including the Strand, Townsville City, Gulliver, Aikenvale and Nowdale Central. So our average score was 63, and then each neighbourhood got a separate score as well. And then we can break it down over those 5 dimensions. So that's look and function, sense of welcome, things to you, uniqueness and care. So we can really break down the data and see what was rated differently. So as the video said, our top rated attributes were ease of driving and parking and connectivity, and that there are people involved. So once we get those 2 surveys, we mix them together, and so we can really understand what our priorities are. So our neighbourhood strengths, so these are the things that our neighbourhood really, our community really cares about and really values, and that we're performing really well. So these are things we need to maintain and celebrate. So there are local businesses, access to neighbourhood amenities, and elements of the natural environment. Our livability improvement priorities are things that we really care about, but the community didn't rate highly. So there include sense of neighbourhood and personal safety, general condition of our public spaces, walking, jogging, cycling paths, and landscaping. Our secondary priorities are also things that weren't rated overly highly, but the community is caring about a little bit. But I think as we change, they're going to be valued more, and there are also things to do in the evening and sustainable urban design were highly valued in our younger demographic as well. So I think as they grow up, we engage a bit more with them, then that will really increase the value in those spaces. So this will help us really understand our community and what values we should and where the investment will be best made off from. So these are the ideas for change. So at the end of each question, at the end of each survey, there was a question with what's your big or small idea that will make the neighbourhood better. So we got over 1,900 comments, ideas for change. And so we put those in different categories. So our number 1 was about social connections and safety. So improved sense of safety and also improved sense of belonging and interaction with our residents. Movement, huge response in regards to active transport infrastructure with bike paths, walkways to your parks, to your shops, to your schools. We also got a lot in natural environment, community behaviours and facilities. So So the next step, where do we take this information? So we use our community strategic planning. We can use it to prioritise our work. So not just use the investment. If we've got a set of funds, let's use them to actually address the things that the community values. Also, it also aligns with our strategic alignment and some of our smart city initiatives. So part of our smart city strategy is to deliver a livability barometer. This will form one dial of that barometer as an indicator. Also, it will help us provide some strategy in regards to how we address our livability. Council does a lot of work in this space to improve our lifestyle and livability in the community, and this is a good measure on how we're actually doing in regards to our community values.
Thank you. Any questions for Sarah? Yes, Councillor Jones.
Yes, in that livability study, there was 5 locations, I believe. How many of the old Tharangawa locations were involved compared to the old, to the Townsville City locations? I didn't see too many of the old Tharangawa locations.
They were based on the strategic framework from the city plan. So they're areas that are highlighted in the city plan, with the exception of Gulliver, for changes in their density and densification and uses. Yeah, Tharangawa Central is one of those spaces, and this is just the first round. So the care factor, the overall one, is like a census. So we do that every 4 years. The locations of the PX assessments can be done every year or every 2 years. So, and in different locations. So in some places, like the city, you might go back and if we're doing a lot of investment and changes in that space, go back and measure the experience. But that's not saying that we're not going to do other spaces.
Yeah, it seemed to me to be a little bit concentrated in the city area, rather than sort of looking at the peripherals, like the Upper Ross or the beaches.
We can take that on board for the next round of PX. So, as Sally's explained, there's an opportunity to look at some of the other areas as we progress through this. So, only 5 areas were picked, Council. We left that to the staff to determine, based around the strategic framework of the city plan. So you would be aware that, for example, under the city plan, we're looking to concentrate some of the urban footprint in Tharangawa. We allow, for example, along not Tharangawa Drive, along Ross River Road. There's areas there that we've allowed 3 and 5 stories for businesses and apartments. So it's about looking at how we create what is important to people, what we need to keep in our planning framework, and how we can improve the delivery of infrastructure.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, thank you everyone. That finishes the presentations. Mayoral Minute. Councillors, and this was actually flagged by the staff, if I can begin. In October 2018, Council committed to the establishment of a Smart Precinct NQ as part of the Smart City Strategy and Smart Townsville Community Partnership. Obviously that strategy was endorsed by this council, and in reality actually fits in as part of our City Deals process as well. Since that time, Council has been engaging with various sectors of the community to seek input into establishing a new hub for innovation to support the new and emerging businesses and entrepreneurs across North Queensland. Today I am pleased to announce that Smart Precinct NQ Limited has been established with initial founding members and partners from James Cook University, Burdekin Shire Council, Fierce Ventures, a locally operated technology company, and Townsville City Council. Smart Precinct in North Queensland will operate as a not-for-profit organisation independent from other organisations. We'll now call it the SPNQ will establish a mechanism to attract and grow businesses in Townsville to help stimulate our economy, play a significant role in building innovation capacity within the region and in coordinating relevant stakeholders, provide a centre to support businesses and entrepreneurs to prototype, test and to scale innovation business models, to collaborate with existing and new players in Townsville's startup and innovation ecosystem, promote and support entrepreneurism and innovation within our community, to engage with local workers in the development of new and existing businesses in future growth industries, help ensure that working populations of North Queensland has the skill to meet demand for future growth industries, improve competitiveness for local universities and industries by successfully commercialising more local research, assist in the development of new and current businesses to participate in future growth industries and knowledge economy, and finally to attract new investors to fund growth industries in the region. The board members of Smart Precinct NQ include representatives from the university sector, industry and the entrepreneurial community. All board positions are voluntary and unpaid positions. It is proposed that the Mayor of Townsville City Council be appointed as a Director of Smart Precinct NQ Limited, and today I am seeking councillor support to be appointed as Townsville City Council's inaugural Director on the Board of Smart Precincts NQ Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all aware that we have seen a number of industries begin in the north and sadly leave us, such as Jesse Transport. Their footprint here is much smaller, and because we cannot get the people into North Queensland, we've had one of our great startup safety culture have to employ and create a business unit in Sydney. There's a real need for this so that we can future-proof our city for the new economies. And ladies and gentlemen, they are coming to us very fast. So the proposed resolution is that Council notes the establishment of Smart Precinct NQ Limited, a not-for-profit community organisation, as part of Council's Smart City Strategy and Smart Townsville Community Partnership. The Council nominate the Mayor to be the Director of Smart Precinct NQ Limited, noting the position of the Director receives no remuneration. Councillors, if I could have any comments before I ask for the proposed resolution to be moved. If there are none, can I ask someone move? Yes, move. Certainly.
Will Council be supporting this organisation financially in the future at all? You know, with grants or these sort of things?
I'll ask
Brett.
Brett, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it will. So what we've done is approach the state and Commonwealth partnership opportunities as part of the City deal. Our current budget includes $1.5 million to establish Smart Precinct NQ, so from the capital point of view to invest in the built infrastructure. And through that investment, we've leveraged a state investment about 6 times that so far. So the state's arrangement for Advance Queensland as show a shorthand and we'll improve it. So by putting a significant sum of money up front, which is 1.5 million, we've established 6 times that for the state so far.
Thank you. Does that answer the question? Thank you. Any other questions? All right, could I have someone move? Thank you, Councillor Walker, seconded Councillor Rayburn. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we'll now move to the committee items proper, and we'll begin with Community Health and Environment Committee. Could I ask Councillor Greenie to please move her, present her reports.
I would like to present the Community Health and Environment Committee report from Monday the 12th of August 2019, items 1 to 4 on pages 1 to 4 of the public agenda. Thank you.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Jacob. Do we have any comments from the Chair?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I think item 1 is actually good to note, and I think it affects a lot of councillors in their divisions is the illegal dumping that is occurring, and I think through the Department of Environment and Science appointing 2 officers over the next 6 months. I look forward to receiving updates around this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further comment, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I now ask Councillor Dorr please to present her committee report to full council?
Madam Chair, I wish to present the Community and Cultural Development report for Monday, the 12th of August. I wish to present items 5 through to 11 contained within pages 5 through to 11 of the ordinary meeting agenda for adoption.
Thank you, Councillor. Any comments from the Chair?
Madam Mayor, it's always pleasing to see our community organisations applying for funding through our grants program, and with this month being no exception. I'm actually looking forward to the Indian Festival and the organising committee to see what they do this year, because they're applying for this grant. But while we're at it, we have a new grants officer with us today in the room, and I'd like to acknowledge Alistair and actually acknowledge all the new staff with council, because I noticed quite a few new faces. Alistair from community programs, but I do note I would like to welcome all the other staff to our council.
Thank you.
Just one more point, Madam Mayor. It's also pleasing to present the Community Safety Plan for 2019-20. I know Councillor Cook is very proud of the work of this committee, and I believe Councillor Molokino would like to say a few words about being a member of that committee. Yes, you certainly.
Just half Ross, Councillor Ross Cook, who's not here today, it's Cook, but just some notes on it. The purpose of the Community Safety Plan is to encapsulate Council's current and future response to community safety and provide avenues for exploiting this space. The plan provides tangible links to Council's 1920 budget through areas such as CCTV, Network and Community Safety Advisory Committee. The Community Safety Plan provides clear delineation between the levels of government and the respective levels of responsibility, while highlighting Council's key focus on areas of safe places, safe people and safe facts. Collaborative partnerships are emphasised as an important factor in addressing community safety. This plan also aligns with the findings from the recent livability study, which is important. Obviously, this is another election promise that we're following through on. And I'd like to thank Rebecca and her team for preparing the study for us today.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yes, there was an election commitment, and sadly I continue to get emails from residents asking me to provide policing, firstly on private property, which we cannot do, and secondly, we are not the police force, nor are we the federal and state governments with their financial capability to deal with some of the issues that are around the city. I hope that the community safety plan, as we progress through that, not only will we do our part, but we will attempt to now hold the other levels of government accountable for certain aspects in and around this community. Thank you. Any further, Councillor Dorr?
No, I think Councillor Molokino has covered up nicely on that, and report for Councillor Thank you.
We had a seconder, didn't we? That was my apologies. Seconder, Councillor Ryder. Thank you. Are there any further discussions from councillors around the table? If not, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Government and Finance, if I could ask Councillor Coombe please to present her report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to present the Governance and Finance Committee report for Monday the 12th of August. Items 12 to 17 contained in pages 12 to 17.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Sawes. Any comment from the Chair?
Only the local spend report that came up to council, which was being widely covered in the media, which was fantastic. Obviously, we lean there on our policy that we put to council around quite local, quite townsville, and it's great to see the staff actually produce this report so that we can pass that through to the community and show that we are actually spending locally.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, 87%. It's incredible. It's well up from where we were.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any comments from councillors? All right, if not, then I will put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. I now go to the Townsville Water and Waste Committee, with the chair being away ill. Could I ask one of the other committee reps, Councillor Walker?
Madam Mayor, thank you. I wish to move items Under Council Water and Waste Committee meeting, items 18 to 20 in Glover. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder from the committee? Thank you, Councillor Molokino. Are there any questions? Thank you, comments, Councillor Ryder.
Sorry, the presentation for the curbside collection update, I just wanted to give some feedback that a lot of the residents said they were much more aware it was happening, and I saw the signposts and the radio, and I just think we did it a lot better this time round.
Thank you, Councillor. It had been nearly 12 years, I think, since we'd done a curbside collection. So obviously there would be issues in the first year. The second year they've been able to condense it into under 7 months, and I think, as you said, there were a lot of learnings taken from the very first time. So that's good feedback to get from the community. Yes, Councillor Jacob.
Yes, look, I'd like to concur with Councillor Ryder. I think we did an excellent job this year, and we're still doing that excellent job. Signage was really great this year. People knew exactly, what times their collections were going to be, and also the communications that we've done on what to put out, and the weight of their pile was adhered to pretty well in my division. Can't speak for everybody else, but I think it was a great job that the council was doing.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, it's another commitment we gave the community that we've kept. Thank you. Any other comments? Can I just ask quickly, the Water Smart package, a presentation was done. Since that time, I think we're coming very close to the end for the Water Smart package.
Yeah, we're sitting at about 80%, so we'll probably go out with some notifications that the program is starting to wind down. So that was a discussion we've had with the exec team this week.
And that's been an excellent partnership between Queensland Government Council and our local industry.
If I may, Madam Mayor, there's been an extraordinary pickup. Excuse the pun, straight after curbside collection, but the way the community has responded to this package, I'm fairly confident that we'll achieve 100% of all the money expended. I am struggling to find a similar package that's been offered anywhere that achieved 100%. So again, it's an extraordinary effort by all the members of the organisation that have been involved. So thank you.
It's been an excellent outcome. Councillor Walker?
What's about missing your neighbours has been the main driver in the community engagement, keeping us up to date with stats. She was saying that target end of September, that it looks like it's going to run out to 100% in September. I suppose the ambitious date to wipe out that money. But it is that I want to thank the state government too for this support, because it has been a great partnership, as you said.
It has. This is really the state government has trusted us to deliver this program, and as we noted at the very beginning of doing this, most of the programs were lucky if you had a 30 to 40% uptake. So the staff took away the learnings, came back. It took a while, but came back with a process that met both the Queensland Audit Office expectations and a marketing plan that seems to have actually connected with the community. So we should be really pleased with that. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. If there's no further comment, we'll put that report to Council for adoption. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I'll now ask Councillor Molokino to move his report from Infrastructure Services, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the Infrastructure Services Committee report from the 13th of August, items 21 to 27, pertaining to pages 21 to 27.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Sauls. Any comment from the Chair?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if I may, just on item 26, it's in confidential there, but I'd just like to mention that when we first brought this contract into play 2 years ago, 2 years ago, we actually pushed to split the package up, which at the time we hadn't done before, and it's worked out quite well for us. Ausfield Services, one of our contractors that's providing our package 3 for us, which is taking in the majority of Wairee and the Upper Ross, is doing very well, and they're a locally owned business, so it's great to see that we've supported those guys, and they're blossoming, which is great. So they're hiring more people, and we're getting more work for them. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Again, that's part of the procurement policy and the changes we've made. And it's good to hear a good news local story. Local good news story. Thank you, Councillor. It's been a long day already. All right. Are there any other comments? If not, then I will. I'll ask councillors. We will put this to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. I'll now ask Councillor Walker to present his Planning and Development Committee report. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move items the Planning and Development Committee report held on 30th of August 2019, items 28, 30 through 36. It's putting aside item 29 due to identified conflict by Councillor Doyle. So we just moved 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 32, 35, 36, and 29 separately. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Green. That includes the report for Ingham Road, Garbett. Okay. Okay, thank you. Councillors, are there any discussion from the chair to begin with off that report?
Oh no, I'll reserve one comment.
Okay, any councillors? Councillor Ryder?
Madam Mayor, I just wonder, just with the item number 36, may I make some comments on that one?
Certainly.
I understand there's a lot of small businesses and businesses that do the right thing and they apply for the correct licensing. This one in particular, I just want to get it clear in my head that we've done the right thing. So they've got the business from a rental place or wherever. They've opened up the business without the proper licences. There's been a complaint. We've given them a show notice, and then they've got certain conditions they have to do. And then once they do those conditions, they'll be accepted and able to run the business there. And in the meantime, are we able to get some sort of report in a month that they actually did all these things they said they're going to do? Is that something we can ask? There's a lot of people who I just don't really want to set some sort of example that people can't just open up businesses without making application for the correct licences and then beg for forgiveness later, because it puts us in a terrible predicament and then we're the worst persons in the world when we close down a business.
Thank you. I might ask Councillor Walker to firstly comment on the report, which I have now in front of me, and the conditions, and then I might ask the staff, Leslie Cameron, please, as well.
I think the conditions are pretty heavy, and we went through this in detail in relation to item on the committee. And I'll leave the professional staff to drill down into the detail about how we enforce through our officers that go out and deal with actually on complaint. But every item that comes through council of this nature is going to be conditional. The conditions are spelled out in detail: departments, noise and waste management, traffic management. This is quite unique. We take advice from our professional staff. We don't go out and make sure that everybody's painted whatever colour scheme they've got or the landscape scheme. It's up to the certifiers and those people in the industry with the self-certification of how they do it. We act on complaint right across the city. We're not resourced to go and inspect buildings on a daily basis after we've had the condition. However, this is a very stringent document. Everybody's had plenty of time to look at the conditions in here. We work with our professional team here. They give us guidance on how we move forward on these documents, and we take that at a very high level of importance, and we value that information. If anybody wishes to challenge those conditions, that's the courts. So I just wish to hand that over to the staff member who are choosing to answer detail.
So the acting
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I can comment. We followed due process the whole way through. When it was identified that they were operating without approval, which they apparently hadn't realised they needed approval, so they were issued with a short cause notice. But the whole purpose of that is to give them a chance to rectify the situation and to legitimise it rather than just abruptly shut them down, which we're not really in the business of doing. They have done so. They've put in their application. It's gone through due process. We've considered the objections, we've amended the conditions, and in fact, subsequent to the committee meeting, I think the committee recommended that there was further conversation with one of the submitters. So one of our planners has gone out there on site and spoken to them, explained the process a little bit better. We've reduced the number of dogs that they're allowed on the premises at any one time from the 35 that they've asked for to 25. And in answer to your enforcement or reporting question, we won't be providing monthly reports, but we will certainly be monitoring compliance. So if there are complaints, if we will investigate, if they're shown to be in breach of complaints, in breach of their condition, they will have to rectify those as well.
Councillor, part of the problem we have in the community is people don't understand the governance, and particularly around city planning. If this group had bought in a different area, an area that if they had sought advice from council about their business where they could operate legitimately without requiring to go through a full material change of use, we would have been able to give them advice. Sadly, people don't do this, and they take advice from real estate agents, often that aren't fully aware of what the city plan details. And while the recommendation here is to approve, there are still submitters out there who we know that it will have a 28-day period, that's correct, 28 days, to lodge an appeal against the conditions or against this application. That is their right under the Act. At this point in time, all we can do is consider the conditions that we have here, particularly around the noise and the stormwater. And I noted when I was double checking this report that the noise management, the conditions are quite stringent. Okay? And this is to ensure that complies with probable outcome 6 of a low impact industry zone, code 6.5.1, and to comply with the recommendations of the noise impact report. And they're to be established on site within 1 month of the issuing of certificate of compliance associated with conditions 15 and 16 to be maintained at all times during the life of the development. So that includes the acoustic fencing and the noise mitigation. So if they don't maintain that, that gives us a right to go back and to go through a process again to close the business down.
This is the second time that I've been made aware of something like this has happened. Should we send something to the people or the people who are selling these businesses, maybe just sort of gently reminding them of that?
Well, this business I don't believe was sold. I believe they leased the building and then developed the business themselves outside of any planning requirement. And sadly, we tend to see more and more of this. People need to understand that you just can't set up a business. We're now starting to get complaints around home businesses that are no longer home businesses with just one operator. People are now employing 3 and 4 people. And the more complaints we get, the more we will have to go into those properties and show them a show cause why they should be allowed to operate anymore as a home business. So, for example, a home business is about being established. Once you're established and you're required to hire more people, you need to move off-site into another area. But people don't seem to understand that. And it's about protecting the amenity of the rest of the residents and businesses that are co-located in the area. Councillors, there might be an opportunity for you in your newsletters to remind people that before they seek to sign a lease on a business, to maybe just come in and have a discussion at a council, with council, and to sign their leases subject to council approval. It wouldn't be that hard to sign a lease with that to ensure that they are able to operate in the area they are about to lease. Yes, Councillor Jacob.
Just a question for Councillor Walker. Councillor Walker, is this item separate? Do we get to vote on this one separately? Or did you accommodate this within the rest of the...
As per the Mayor's question earlier on, we moved in Globo except for the one that was a conflict. So we said we could speak to this separately, and it's up to the Mayor to conduct that.
So am I hearing that people would like to deal with this separately?
Yes,
Councillor Jacob?
Yes.
All right. So we'll amend the Councillor Walker's reports to, we will look at now
28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 and 35.
All right, I'm just going to my... Thank you. So then we'll move 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 and 35. Are you happy with that, Councillor Walker?
Thank you, yes.
And the seconder? Who is the seconder? I've got my notes here. Councillor Saws? No, Councillor Greenie, you were the seconder. You were the seconder. Are you happy for if we...
Yes, thank you.
All right. So before we continue this discussion, are there any other points of discussions based around item 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 or 35? If they're not, we have a mover and seconder. Can we put those items to the vote? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now, can I have a person move item 36 separately? Same mover, same seconder? Yes, thank you. And we can continue the discussion now on item 36. So, I'll go to Councillor Molokino.
Thank you, Mayor. I've personally got some concerns with item 36. What we're seeing, as you mentioned before, unfortunately businesses are setting up without council approval, and council is then left to pick up the pieces on it. Had the proper process been followed, we may not be in a position where we have to make a decision after the fact. Okay, put that to the side. We have other appropriately positioned doggy daycare things. There's one in the centre in Cranbrook, behind the old Hallwell building in that area there. Did a quick check on that. That one's about 500 metres from the nearest resident. The one we're discussing today is about 80 metres from the nearest resident of Hingham Road. So to me that's a concern. We are setting, I believe, we've set some pretty tight noise constraints between 45 and 60 decibels, which I believe personally is going to be very hard to do to comply with without full soundproofing. My biggest fear is that we have flooded complaints that the local council and our staff then have to deal with compliance side, have to deal with to try and make it work. I did a cursory search online just to have a look at what kennels normally run at as far as noise goes, and they say anywhere between 85 and 122 decibels. So, that's a fair knockdown. We're going to really hard to get them down to comply, and that's all I'm just worried about the business themselves. As I said, this is an awesome business. Don't get me wrong, we need these sort of businesses in Townsville, but we just need to make sure that they're located appropriately. Unfortunately for me, that means to me that I won't be supporting the officer's recommendation for that.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, Councillor Jacob?
Yes, look, I concur with Councillor Molokino and also with Councillor Ryder. But my main concern is that we're setting a very bad precedent here by doing something post-event rather than beforehand. Now, there wasn't any community consultation. I don't know whether there has to be community consultation, but we've missed that step. So I don't want to set that precedent as a councillor.
Councillor, there was consultation, went through material change of use impact accessible. There were a number of submissions for and against this proposal, and they were taken into consideration with the conditions set down by the state.
Yeah, sorry, Lady Bear, I meant when the shop set itself up in Ingham Road, Had there been, prior to that, any community consultation?
Well, we don't normally request community consultations on something we don't know.
Yeah, no, look, I fully agree, but this is concerning animal as well, so I think we've missed that step. So because we've missed that step, but I just don't want us to set a precedent to let all these other people know. It's like driving a car without a licence and then applying for the department to get your licence later. But that's how I see it, put it into simple terms.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sauls.
Through the chair, Councillor Molitino spoke eloquently about the situation. We have residents there that are running businesses, that this is a result of a long series of complaints. Right? To imagine those complaints will go away because dogs, they're social animals, their superannuation anxiety is going to they're still going to bark. And I cannot see how we're going to bring that noise down. And given that situation, it's too hard a thing to address. The business is concerned, it's an awesome business, as Councillor Molitino said. Halving its capacity and all these other heavy restrictions are going to have an impact on this business, which is a concern also. So I'm feeling for both sides of the equation, right? And it would be difficult for me to agree with the officer's recommendation on this occasion.
All right, now, councillors, you're aware that you will have to ensure that you enunciate clearly to staff and place in writing your reasons for objection, and they should be based on planning reasons. All right? Are there any other councillors who wish to speak on this matter? If not, I will close the debate and we will put this to the vote. All right, councillors. Those that wish to accept the officer's recommendation, please raise your hand. One, two, three, 5. So we have 5. Those that wish to vote against the officer's recommendation, please. All right, could I ask each of you, beginning with Councillor Molokino, your reasons why? Could you please read it out and pass it on to the committee clerk?
Sure. My concern is around noise. We're setting some very tight noise constraints for the business, which I personally believe will be very hard to comply with without a major infrastructure standard for the business itself, which will create further flood of complaints for our staff.
Thank you.
I'm happy to summarise that.
Thank you, excellent. Councillor Ryder?
My concerns are about the current noise levels they have put on them, and I think it's my opinion it's unrealistic for them to do that. So I feel we're setting them up for failure.
Thank you, Councillor Ryder. Councillor Jacob?
Yes, as I've stated before, I don't want the council to set a bad precedent. That was my reason.
Can you... the other councils have used the conditions that are set as part of the planning conditions.
Sorry, Lady Mayor. I've stated the reason.
Sorry, you have to apply planning to it. You have to state a rule around planning.
Yeah, but what we've done through the chair,
Yes.
we've allowed something in this officer's recommendation that didn't meet our criteria for planning because of the fact that they'd set this business up. So,
sorry, Madam Mayor, if I may, Councillor, that last statement is erroneous. I'll make 2 points. One, in relation to setting a precedent, there is a history, not only in this council, but in large numbers of other councils, where in fact, as explained earlier, a show cause is to give people an opportunity. It isn't a definition of closure. So as far as setting a precedent goes, this wouldn't set a precedent, Councillor. It would be one of many that have been similar, where the officers have tried to provide an opportunity. That's the first one. So I just wanted to rebut the statement of setting a precedent. The second one was you spoke about consultation. When the premises was first set up, we've established that the premises was set up without them applying through council. So to hold a consultation process on a premises that no one knew was doing it until the complaints came in is a really difficult exercise. However, as a part of this exercise, the appropriate consultation process took place. And I come to the third point. The request from the Mayor is quite appropriate, that your objection be based on the planning conditions, which is what this particular paper falls within. The other two councillors have done exactly the same. So the case of setting a precedent is a difficult one to be committed to. So, but I'm happy to help you put that together, councillor. We acknowledge and accept your objection.
I will put one together, sorry, through the chair, and I will come back to you with my response.
I want to just note that under the State Planning Act, anyone can apply for anything on any site. So even though we may have a site that is here a low impact, it doesn't preclude them from applying. That's something we have to allow people as part of the State Planning Act. It's about then the conditions. If the staff feel it is still acceptable, it then comes down to the conditions that are placed around it and whether or not, as a council, we deem those conditions to be suitable to allow the business to operate. The community still has the right to take anything to court if it feels we haven't provided reasonable and relevant conditions. So there is still an opportunity for the submitters to go through the planning court on this matter. So there's still a long way to go on this, council. Okay? We're just completing one part of a process. Councillor Doyle, yes.
I was just suggesting I might be able to help Councillor Jacob with his objection, and it might be, if I ask you a question, do you believe that it's in the best interest of the community of interest? Because that's a planning reason, Councillor Jacob, if you don't believe it's in
No, well, I listened, sorry, through the chair, I listened to Councillor Saunders and I agree with his argument, and that's what he's basically saying.
Well, that's what I'm suggesting you might wish to say, Councillor Jacobs, that you don't believe it's in the best interest of the community of interest. I'm trying to help.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And that would have been my recommendation as well.
MCUs come through every month. We've got MCUs. This is not unusual. It's not out of the box. It's not a precedence. MCUs come before council every month.
That's correct.
So just be mindful when you're basing your argument on conditions that you apply the same rule on every MCU that comes to this council. Don't be hypocritical on noise levels and parking and traffic. That's why we have professional staff talking about these conditions. You need to read them and understand them clearly because MCUs come before us all the time. If you want to jump back in the board and you don't agree with those conditions, they have to be on planning grounds because that's why we put professional staff to give us that guidance. So we're better informed when we make a decision. So I just want to give you that caution that this is why we have professionals to support what we're doing as a council. MCUs have to come here for a decision. Make sure we knock them back on the right grounds. Or else we'll be closing down businesses left, right and centre and we'll be seen as a very negative council not progressing any business in the city.
Sorry, through the chair. Thank you. Councillor Walker, are you making a comment or are you...
No, because you just say it's a precedence, Madam Mayor, Chair. You just say this is a precedence. It's not a precedence. We do them every month. MCUs come before this council every month.
Yep, but when you... Sorry, no.
I think if I can, thank you, Councillor Walker. This is... A number of councillors have given planning reasons why they've objected to this, and they are well within their rights to do it. All I'm asking from you, Councillor Jacob, is to, if you've gone through the report, you would understand what conditions you can object to this on. You've had two councillors use conditions that they're not happy with. They feel that because of the stringency of the conditions, it would be difficult to apply. As I said, for your objection to this matter to be seen as relevant, you should use planning conditions as your guide, all right? And we'll take into account what you've now said and we'll note that. Whether or not it is relevant, that will be seen through the course of time. Thank you, Councillor Jacob. I'll now ask Councillor Sauls.
Chair. Yeah, my objection does rest with the compliance to the noise conditions and its capability to apply and deliver that outcome for all our residents in the area.
Thank you, Councillor Sauls. So all of you will be noted as objecting to this item, but the item is carried by numbers. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to the final item from your report. If we could, Councillor Walker.
Yes, I wish to move that item 29, Madam Mayor, and Councillor Liv.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. And that's the move. Can I have the same seconder again for that item? Thank you, Councillor Greeny. Is there anything that we need to note on the Heritage Advisory Committee? No? All right. Thank you. We'll put that now to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Could I ask someone to please ask Councillor Doyle to come in? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 other items left. If I can, I'd like to bring the addendum up before we move into closed session and ask if we can now go to the addendum, item 39. Thank you. Now, item 39, if I could ask the officers, which officer, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a recommendation that Council approves the grant of the Grants and Partnerships Program to Theatre INQ to run their Shakespeare Under the Stars annual event this September. Total grant value is about $32,500 in cash and in kind.
All right. Can I ask someone that we move this report? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Seconded, Councillor Greeny. All right. Is there any discussion from the mover on this?
Other than to say, Madam Mayor, that I think theatre includes itself on again in this community and as well as the strength. So continuing to support such a high calibre organisation is not a difficulty from my perspective.
Thank you. Councillor Jacob, do you have anything to say?
Yes, just through the chair, just 2 questions. One is, what financial support did we give this organisation last year? And if the information is available, how many attended this event last year, if that information is there?
I don't have the information on me now, but the staff are in the room.
Thank you.
Question. Going back through the records, it indicates that over the last 3 or 4 years we've supported Theatre Inc. In a number of different ways, not specifically for the performance of Shakespeare Under the Stars. This is their first application for support of this as a one-off performance. They have been in receipt of community support agreements over the last few years and ongoing funding agreements sort of from pre-2016. In the values of around the same amount that they're asking for, so it's around $30,000 in cash annually, alongside around $6,000 in waivers for venues. So it's in line with what they've applied for previously. This time it's just specified that it's specifically for this one event.
Thank you. Could I also note that under the project description that is part of this report, that this year Theatre INQ plans to hold free Shakespearean workshops in partnership with James Cook University to the general public and offer Townsville schools a free Shakespearean workshop with every group booked, along with a 2-week 13-performance season. The young stars of the show will hold information sessions at school and with the general public about working in the acting industry. Councillor Green?
I would just like to show my support for particularly Theatre INQ, and after attending their Alice Through the Looking Glass for NACA, which was amazing, and there was really something from everyone who was 2 years age to an older thing, and the majority of the community that enjoyed it was outstanding, and I think Shakespeare Under the Stars is, will be no different.
Thank you. I'll go back to Councillor Jacob and then to Councillor Molokino and Councillor Doyle. Yes, Councillor Jacob?
Yeah, look, the reason I asked for the numbers. I want to make sure that the ratepayers of the city are getting value for this particular item. It's come before us as an addendum.
Yes, I know. There was an issue around the original application for the grant, and I'm not sure if anyone can speak on that.
I believe, Madam Mayor, there was just some confusion from Theatre INQ about our new grants application process, so they didn't manage to get in on time.
So through the chair, I'm familiar with this application because it's come through RAB a couple of times, but the actual organisation itself, it was much more than a simple application to RADF. So that's why it was actually escalated to the next level, because the next level actually gave them partnership support, and it's something that it was beyond what they normally got. The numbers, Paul, Councillor Jacob, they gave us lots of numbers, and they were actually nearly at capacity every year. And what they're returning, people are actually even travelling to our city now. So the actual organisation itself, I think, is at their next level, hence why it's ended up with the partnership program. Yeah. So I think I'm excited that they actually went from the smaller level to the next level, which is where they should have been, but we didn't have that level in place.
So can I just add to that, if I may, Madam Chair? Councillor Jacob, if you know this organisation, you'll understand that it's one of the few, if not the only one, that offers training and apprenticeships and opportunities through the Bridge project for aspiring actors and actresses in Townsville. And many of the people who've graduated from the program, the Bridge program, have actually gone on nationally and internationally. So what it does for this community is far greater than what the money that goes into this organisation helps to grow and expand the talent that contributes to the performances within this community and nationally. So it's a phenomenal organisation, and as Councillor Ryan has said, it's gone to next level. It's absolutely gone to next level.
Can I just ask roughly how many people attend their performance? Is it about, thank you, does anyone?
I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that they get sellouts for this particular one, and I would like to say there's very few organisations that are doing Shakespeare, particularly for local people to access, and I think from an educational perspective for our young children, this is one of very few opportunities that they will get in their lifetime to see live performance of Shakespeare. So.
And this year I believe it's Othello, which has... Yes. Thank you. All right, Councillor, have we answered your questions?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you. Councillor Molokino?
Just a quick question on the numbers, if I can, Mayor. The gentleman was just speaking on this before us, talked about in-kind support of around $6,000, if I heard him correctly. But in the report, it talks about two. I just want to make sure the total add up in the report properly.
Okay. Alistair?
Through the chair. So the 6,000 was in previous applications and funding agreements. So it was just as a historical note in terms of the value, around 30 to 35,000 is what they had annually in support from us, and this year is dropped down because they're only asking for Queen's Gardens. They're waiting for Queen's Gardens, which is around the 2,500 and not further away. So, thank you.
Now, obviously, at the end of their performance, they'll be required to provide acquittal of all the funding to show due diligence on their behalf as well. All right? We're dealing with this one, yes. Yes, you wish to speak, Councillor Walker? I was about to close, but all right. You've always got something to say.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the support. In relation to this, I'm disappointed that this comes out so late. You know, we need more notice to digest this. If you want to debate about other things, in conditioning and making people fail, we need more notice on these sort of work. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Comments noted. Thank you, Councillor. Right. Now, if I can, is Councillor Doyle, you wanted to sum up?
Say sometimes we need to be agile and move and accept that things happen for whatever reason, and we've just had a presentation from one member of this staff who is also manager of this particular area. So I think we just need to be agile on this occasion and accept that things happen and move on.
Thank you. All right, if there's no further comment, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Let's now, we move on to confidential items. If I can I have someone move, we move into confidential? Thank you, Councillor Coombs, seconded Councillor Jacob. All those in favour? Carried. And seconded, come out of to come into open session. Thank you very much, Councillor Coombe and Councillor Jacob. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. All right, we will deal with item 37 and the officer's recommendation. Can I have someone move that the report remain deemed confidential, and 2, that as part of our procurement, Mount Isa to Townsville Economic Development Zone are seen as the sole supplier or special service. Thank you, Councillor Soares. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Doyle. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. I'd now like to move to item 38, which is the motions that are to go to the LGAQ. I would like that the first recommendation that we do not deem this as a confidential document, that we now see it as a, and if I'm looking for the words, CEO, that it becomes part of ordinary council business. Thank you. And 2, that the amended motions contained in attachment 1 to this report to council be report to council for consideration for the LGAQ, and we recommend that these amended motions go to the LGAQ with the support of council. All right, can I have someone move? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Seconder? Councillor Coombe. Now that we've deemed that this can be part of ordinary council business, does anyone wish to comment on the motions that we're moving and sending to the LGAQ for discussion? If not, all right, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. I'd now like to move into general business. Do we have any general business off the floor? No? I have one item, if I could ask for it to be distributed. Thank you. Yeah, I've got that. On both sides. Thanks, I've got that. Councillors, I seek your support to participate in some travel from the 15th of September to either the 21st or 22nd of September to meet with representatives from the Ministry of Defence in Singapore, military support industry and other government agencies, and also to participate in the Changshu Forum on Culture and Tourism in China. Ladies and gentlemen, councillors, Townsville has a close relationship with Singapore. However, in July, I received a letter from the Ministry of Defence from the Republic of Singapore regarding the establishment of the Australian-Singapore Military Training Initiative near Greenvale. Singapore welcomes this development as an opportunity to deepen their relationship with our city. While the Singapore military have been training at Shellwater Bay near Rockhampton for more than 25 years, North Queensland now has the opportunity to engage with Singapore military as part of their military training initiative. We should be reminding people that this is a massive investment by the Singapore government. Nearly $1 billion all up will be invested in throughout the regions. It is important that we build this relationship with Singapore because over the next 20 years, Singapore will be a major player in Australia's defence profile. And the importance of this relationship as it progresses over time cannot be overstated. Many of the Singaporean soldiers who will be training in our region will go on to senior positions in business and government in Singapore and other parts of the world. We need to ensure that these young men feel welcome and see opportunities in our city and regions and what we have to offer. As part of the master planning process for the ASMTI, Singapore's Ministry of Defence will be working very closely with the Australian Department of Defence and Australian Defence Force to understand how Townsville can support their training and their logistical needs. The Singapore government also needs to be assured that their soldiers will be welcome in this city just as we welcome everyone in uniform. Now, with that, we've also been invited to Changshu in China to participate in a matter really of economic development. There is a Changshu Forum on Cultural and Tourism also from the 19th to the 21st of September. This forum is an annual event and gives us the opportunity to present our tourism products and our services directly to 100 wholesale tourism representatives from that region, so from Suzhou, Shanghai, as well as Changshu. In July, approval was given for 2 tourism operators to go to this forum. However, during this forum, representatives of Changshu's sister cities will be invited to sign a friendship agreement with the hosts Changshu. Now, mayors from Japan and Korea will be there to be a part of this process. I want to take this opportunity to travel to Changshu after the visit to Singapore to meet with their government, to meet with the representatives of the city of Changshu. Hence, I request approval to travel overseas from the date stated, and I will move the motion accordingly. Thank you, councillors. Can I have a seconder, please? Yes.
Just request that the mayor just be amended to say that Michael Jones, Chief Executive Officer of the Bill Resort.
This isn't a mayoral minute, this is a...
I just think for the minutes to reflect the Bill Resort and no mention of the Bill Casino further to the meeting that we had last week.
Correct. Can we just amend, I will amend this to
Remove the word
casino.
Gambling's illegal in China. So,
Alright, we will remove that and that will just read the Bill Resort. Thank you. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Walker. Yes.
It says that in July approval was given to tourism operator.
We did in this chamber.
We get approval to set up people over there.
No, because it's being funded by Changshu. So they're paying for the tourism operators to go.
Through us.
yes, that makes sense.
So there's no cost to the Townsville people. Councillor?
So the Singapore, will that coincide with Australians?
No, it will not. It'll be separate. So I'm looking to take the only person at this point who will accompany me will be one of the staff. However, we're using our military advisor, John Caligari, to assist us in setting up appointments. So Lieutenant General Caligari has a number of contacts in Singapore he believes would be appropriate to meet with. Many of the senior military personnel have trained in Australia and he has personal knowledge of. We're very keen to understand how we can help them in terms of delivering the training initiative in Greenville. Anyone else? All right, may I put that, if there's no further comment, can I put it to a vote? All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. If there's no further general business, we'll close the meeting at 3:25. Thank you all the councillors for your attendance and your debate. Thank you to all the staff as well.